Hey everybody, Darren here from College Gaming. With me as always is Toby.
Hey guys.
And we're doing another episode of Road to Rome. We're a little bit later than we would have liked to be this week, a couple of days off, but I don't think we missed anything major in these 2 days. Nothing's really come out. So we're still going to be focusing on what happened last week at Rezzed. It happened just after we did our last Road to Rome, and a lot of new information came out about the map and how armies work, and just different things that were brought out during the commentary of the same kind of demo that we've seen at E3. So do you want to kick it off, Toby?
Yes, I'll just go through what we learned from looking at the map and some of the Q&As about the new settlement and province system they have at the moment. So obviously, traditionally in other Total War games, you just have your provinces or your regions or whatever you want to call them. I think they are provinces. I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Across the map, and you have X amount of them, and each one of those has a city you besiege, and once you take it, you've got the province. End of. Now in this one, obviously, they still have the provinces, but they've got them expanded into this region system. So each region, I think, has 3 or 4 provinces in it, and each region there's only one city you can besiege in that region, as in an actual siege-style battle, and the other ones. Basically, it works. It seems to be the other ones. If you fight what would normally be a siege on these other smaller provinces, you just have a normal land battle, but you can see the city, off in a distance.
Yeah.
And what is quite cool about this whole region system or province system even is obviously once you capture it. If you've played some other RTS games like Tropica or something like that, which you have this region, you can issue these edicts, which is like extra percentage, income from farms or faster troop recruitment, and these little things that help you micromanage your economy and your provinces a bit better.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know if you mentioned, but you do need to own all regions in a province before you can actually issue those edicts or policies. So that's quite cool. As soon as you take a region from someone, it has a bigger impact because they can't no longer declare these policies within their whole province. So it's pretty good.
And I also loved what they showed us around the cities in the campaign map about some of the cosmetic things as well that changed. Like obviously you saw the cities in the video, or I'm sure you'll see them in the background now as well, of what their normal size is, what a normal city size is on the map. And the devs, as they were showing that, said that cities can grow to 3 or 4 times that initial size. Earlier back at E3 we saw that cities could expand a little bit, but we only saw them expand a small bit. And now they've said that in total, with everything upgraded, they could be 3 or 4 times their normal size. Which I think's awesome.
He didn't even say normal size. Actually, that's what I thought he said. But he actually said it can grow 3 to 4 times the size that it was, and it was twice the size of a normal city already.
Yeah, it was already big. Yeah.
I don't know if he really means that. That is huge. It's going to take up a large kind of chunk on your map. I'd known some regions not even to be that big. To see.
Yeah.
So it'll be quite interesting to see what the end game map is going to look like. It's just going to be.
Yeah.
You can't move for cities.
Okay, so do you want to talk about the army ranking systems?
Yeah. All right. Well, so more information was revealed then about how armies are done. Now, I'm assuming that it's going to be the same across all factions, but of course we were seeing how Rome was done. So any army can rank up to 10 times. They have their own kind of leveling system. They get their own experience from fighting battles. And there's 10 slots that for each rank you get a kind of a level point, and there's 10 slots, and you can then pick and choose what different perks you want for your army. And you can either go down and just pick one and just keep upgrading that. So let's say a better defensive bonus, keep piling on the defensive bonus, or how good they are at sieging things, and they'll keep getting better at that. Or you can kind of pick and choose from one of each and fill each 10 slots. So when you do rank up an army though, they said if your army dies, you can still re-raise the banner, and all these different skill points will still be in place. These are traditions. That's what they're called for the Legion. So I'm assuming they're going to be called, the same for other factions. Maybe a different name, but the exact kind of the same, mechanic.
What I really like about that is just the fact because pretty much anyone when they play the campaign of any of the Total War games, you do yourself. You make your own little armies. You go okay, this is going to be my siege army, and this is going to be my field army or whatever like that, etc. And I like the fact that you can really specialize them. So you've got your siege army with your artillery, and you can pump up the artillery and maybe give them defensive bonuses, so when they're walking up to the wall they're not taking so much missile fire, and you can buff your heavy infantry and your land battles and stuff like that. I like that. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I feel you're going to get probably a lot more personal attachment to your armies because
Definitely.
they'll have these different perks, and now you can change their legion name and their emblem, so you'll instantly know the one with the the I don't know, the wolf's head is the one where you batter, it's the siege one, it's the battering ram of your army.
Yeah.
So it's going to be quite cool, having these different legions.
Yeah,
I just hope you can do all that for if you're another faction, because if I'm playing Greece, I like to be able to do that as well, rename them and give them different emblems and stuff.
Yeah, I reckon you probably can, but they'll just call instead instead of being legions, they'll be called, like, I don't know, whatever they call them, armies. Or
Yeah,
I can't try to think of my Greek knowledge
we
now.
did,
Whatever,
we did 2 years of studies on this, and we don't know what a Greek army is called.
I don't know. Yeah, they call it like a phalanx. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And and each different nation's probably got like a different word for it, but I reckon it'll probably be the same apart from that.
Yeah. So to follow up that, then they showed that generals can rank up to 10 times. It looks almost the exact same as with an army. Obviously, though, if general dies, you're not going to re-raise his traditions. I don't think, anyway. I mean, there could be a very small possibility that his child has it, but I really, really, really doubt that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of silly to do that, and I think they know that. So, yeah, you rank up your general, and he has 10 slots, just like the legions, and you can pick and choose, or you can kind of send him in one direction, which is pretty good. And recruiting has changed as well. You now have to recruit from within the army. I'm assuming you can recruit in the big cities as well, because otherwise, if your army was killed, how would you make an army? So it must be in the big cities, I'm guessing. But I'm
assuming it's just if you click on the army or the city, it will just recruit instantly to that one. It doesn't matter, as long as it's in a province. But that's what I reckon.
So they said they wanted to prevent what was going on in Shogun 2. We might have like a lot of people trailing around the map to find their army. So you recruit from within the army, and then after a turn or so, they just appear in that army. But you have to be in friendly territory to do so. So either your allies or your own. So that's fine. I guess like with a map that size, like it makes sense, and I don't think it's really a game-changing thing too much. So I'm happy enough with that. I don't think it's any problems.
No, yeah, I think it's semi-realistic as well, because in real life you're not necessarily all of your troops are coming from the cities, especially in Rome. It was normally wandering around the countryside picking up farmers and stuff like that. So I think it's quite cool like that as well. Yeah, so I'll talk about the family system in the Roman faction at the moment that they've shown us for the first time. We kind of assumed that with Rome 2 they were going to have a similar sort of system in Rome 1, where you do have this like Senate missions and this kind of, you can't really see it very well, but it's just those markers of what has more influence. And they've done that, but they've gone into a lot more detail with it now. So you've got the three different political families. Now, like you had before, different families, but the same sort of system. And each political family has an ambition rating and a gravitas rating, and these things. And what these things do is over time they build up political capital, which is your resource, as it were, as your family. So you can spend it on marrying off your daughter to a other wealthy family, or assassinating a general that's looking like he's getting too strong, and all these sort of things. So obviously you're going to have to balance now the way that this kind of works out. So if you expand too much, or if you if you lose a few generals from one family, obviously they're going to start getting annoyed. And obviously we haven't seen what the consequences are, but we have to assume that it's like it was in old Total War games. You get these big rebellions, which I kind of liked, and you get X amount of provinces will rebel, or rebel armies will pop up and things like that, which I think is quite cool. I like that.
Yeah, he did say it could incite a civil war. So a civil war, I'm guessing, is just going to be, this one legion probably goes rogue, and then other settlements start, giving their allegiance to that legion. Maybe the more unhappy ones.
Because I know you didn't really play Medieval very much, but in Medieval they had they had the same thing where if part of your faction got annoyed, they had civil war. Literally, anywhere from like 30% to like 60% of your provinces would just instantly change to this rebel faction.
Yeah.
So everything you have would just be sliced in half straight away, and you have these massive battles to take everything back again. But it's a cool system. I like that.
The same happened in the Roma Surrectum 2 mod, I think it was, where Hannibal is straight in your you start the game as Rome in Italy, and Hannibal is like in Italy, and all of a sudden all your towns start converting over to start giving him supplies and everything. And so it could be like that, based on where they are, towns start just forming over to these rogue legions, as it were. So yeah, I'm sure everyone's going to have to deal with a civil war at some stage.
Yeah.
And they said you can get rid of the Senate, or go complete Emperor style if you want. So. Which
I think that's awesome. The fact you can still do that.
Yeah.
You can be like a proper Republican and keep the Republican and the Senate and all this stuff, or you can go Caesar and march over the Rubicon and get shit done.
Also, one thing to note there was that the ambition and gravitas is dependent on what your general's ambition and gravitas is. So I was wondering, do you think your ambition rises when you take towns, or do you think it's just set from when they're born?
No, I'm assuming they, each different person probably does have a different initial rating, but I'm assuming the ambition is, is how quickly you take things and the way you treat people and all this kind of stuff. Is probably up with the ambition as well, and probably depends on the type of political action you take as well. You know, if you're taking these very offensive political actions, your ambition will probably go up.
Oh, true enough. Yeah, actually, if you're kind of ruthless, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, well you did mention that there's subjects as well, like the historical and sometimes fictitious characters. So we've seen in the demo that there was Cicero, a very famous politician at the time, and he was very anti-Caesarian and very vocal about it, like pro-Republican. And in the demo, you know, they just do a token assassination and kill him just to show how the balance of power can be used. So they'd built up enough political capital to kill off, or at least try to kill off Cicero. Like he said, it wasn't certain. Like it's just like normal. It is a dice roll still, and if you didn't kill him, like he'd be even more vocal, and he hurts your standing within the political arena. So that is really cool. You know, all these historical characters are apparently going to be popping up over time and taking sides, and you have to choose how to deal with them, or if they're with you, or how you can kind of coerce them.
Yeah.
So that's class. The only thing I worry about is that if it's only Rome that's going to have this, like hopefully Greek, you know, as we know, like Greece had a massive, like, interesting political structure.
Yeah.
So I hope they kind of like do, even if it's just the same, you know, I wouldn't mind. Like,
I don't think they will. I think that's going to be a Rome only thing, just like
in Rome 1. Yeah.
Just like in Rome 1.
That would annoy me. Like, you know, well, obviously it's still great, whatever, but like it would be brilliant to have it for everything.
Yeah, I know.
And then I suppose barbarians would just have like some sort of tribal system, and like the Egyptians would have like a king-queen system. So
yeah, these things they might do. We don't know. We can hope. But
it's just that you can imagine like almost all factions did have this historical power struggle. You know, so hopefully there's something in place.
Yeah, okay, so one of the next things to notice, which wasn't too major, but it's just a cool little thing, is how we noticed in the sea battles, and they were saying about how you know, because obviously now you do ram and things like this in the sea battles, like historically, when they do ram, you know, if ships are getting in close quarters and they do ram each other, you know, you actually see all the troopers like jump over this from ship to ship, have these small little melee combat fights, which I think looks awesome. So they didn't say it specifically, I don't remember anyway, but I'm assuming it'll be, you know, you can capture these ships off the enemy, like you can in you know, Shogun or things like that, which I think would be amazing.
Yeah, I imagine that's
you get enough borders over, you know, you'll take the ship for yourself.
That's really cool. Like it didn't seem like he said to board this ship, but all these troops just start jumping over as soon as they rammed into them anyway.
Yeah.
So it seemed like all the kind of idle legionaries that were on top of a ship just decided to hop it and try and kill the rowers from the other one. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Like even if, you know, it just means that having one successful ram could mean, you know, whether that ship is out of action, if that ship is kind of crap and you have like soldiers on board. So yeah, it's just another little interesting gameplay element.
I also like the fact that it means that, you know, if you've just got, you know, a ship that's got a better ram or whatever like that, it's not necessarily the be all and end all. Because if the other guys have got much better, heavier infantry on their ships or whatever, then that completely changes the swing of it if you get in close and all this stuff. I like the dynamics.
So yeah, we're just going to run down a couple of unchanged game elements that people might be wondering about. So one of them is the wonders still provide multiple worldwide bonuses. So these are the 7 wonders of the ancient world. They're all scattered across the map. And if you capture a region that happens to have this wonder in it, like you gives global bonuses. So that's pretty much the same as the old Rome game was. I don't think they had like a kind of a wonder system in Shogun or anything like that.
No.
But just if you've never played Rome 1, like that's what happened, and that's it. Still in there in this game. Diplomacy features the usual balances like trespassing and you know, how your AI opponents gauge like whether you're their ally or not. So.
But the difference is that now they show it, so you can see. Which is something that.
But they said that like for the first time we're showing this. I could have sworn Shogun showed it. Like you could see that.
Shogun does, but this one's supposed to be like more detailed and stuff.
Yeah.
But because Shogun didn't have like. I don't think to be honest, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it didn't go into quite the level of depth they're going for with this one.
Yeah, I don't think
Shogun
it showed
did have like a meter.
I could be wrong, but I don't think it showed how many points goes for each one. Possibly, it might just have said like you walked in my land.
You might be right. I'm not sure honestly off the top of my head.
But yeah, anyway, so that's in there again, and it's more visible now than ever. Mercenaries can be recruited from anywhere, and you'll get mercenaries based on culture. So you can still get like, even if you're in Rome, you can still recruit like Germanic berserkers or, you know, Egyptian war elephants, you know, just based on where you are. So it's pretty much the same as it was in the old games.
The only difference with that one again this time though is that now they've said you can always recruit mercenaries. Because like before there was, you know, you couldn't always recruit them.
Yeah.
It was random. Yeah, it was definitely in Rome 1. It was random whether they were necessarily there or not.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Very sure that.
Well, I can't remember the exact quote he said, but he said now you will always be able to recruit mercenaries wherever you are.
Okay.
or something like that. So, or that's the insinuation anyway. There's a 100% chance there'll be some mercenaries available.
Yeah. Alright, so one last thing we're going to cover here is the kind of community feedback and worries. So I've been like scouring the Total War Center forums to see any news and things like that. And it's quite clear that a lot of people get very upset when all these new features are like announced, even if they're good or bad. Like they get kind of worried and stuff. So the first thing I noticed is people were saying that there's no giving a region to a faction visible in the diplomacy options. So in your diplomacy, usually you see like you can give a region to somebody in exchange for money, and like that's how some players that I don't know how, but some players that really don't want to fight a war like can actually expand. If they have enough money, they can just start buying provinces. Taking that out means that everyone has to go to war. Now, one thing we forgot to mention is there's 3 new agent types. So I was saying to Toby, like I reckon one of these like will have a bribe function, where you can bribe it down over. So I don't think it's going to be totally detrimental that you can't do it. Hopefully it just wasn't there, visible for some reason, but it is still in the game. Like this could have been, maybe not the finished version, and we didn't see it. So I'd like to think that there is a diplomatic way to give or get a region from somebody. Mm-hmm. As around agent types, like there's an agent called a champion. It's the only new agent we know about, I think, so far. They can harass armies, whittle down units, whittle down morale, or be drill sergeants to give experience, things like that.
Yeah, so one of the things they spoke about is that obviously the campaign will still be only 2 players head to head and co-op like previously. Obviously, a lot of people wanted more, but they did give some good explanations, which I do really agree with. Even though I'd much rather have more than 2 players. But obviously, if you do have 3, 4, 5 players or whatever, it just becomes a turn-based strategy game. Where you're sitting there waiting for an hour between making each move, and it just kind of loses some of the atmosphere and the edge, which I do completely understand. I don't want to be sitting there for an hour.
Yeah, like it would be kind of cool, like if you could do it, just for the novelty of having it there. But if it's going to take time and resources away from the development, like it's one of the things I'm not too pushed about, like the fact it's not in there.
Yeah.
Another the final thing we're going to touch on here is a lot of people feel that they're showing the game like quite little. They're showing quite little of the game like so late into development. I mean, we're at this point, it's June 30th, and we're just about 2 months away now. And people feel like they should be seeing a lot more. Like we haven't seen Rome yet. We haven't seen a battle in Rome, or we haven't seen like even anywhere over toward the left of the European map, really. People are quite worried that it's 2 months to go. Like why aren't they showing this? These diplomatic menus, they look very bare bones. Everyone keeps the people at Rezzed say like this is the first time we're showing code, and it seems a bit odd when it's 2 months to go, when at least a month is needed. Like I'm not too sure, but I'm sure at least a month is needed to print the discs, get the shipping right, and ship everything off to the retailers. So,
well, even just the certification takes like a month as well, doesn't it? With the publisher, where they not make any major changes apart from the odd patch, and the game has to be ready to ship.
And you have to get classification in each region in the world. So like, I don't know like why they're showing so little like this late on. People are worried that this is going to be like massive day 1 patches and the game's not finished yet and all this stuff. So I don't know, like if Sega is pushing on them to release early, or if for some reason they're just really just holding off on what they're going to show until like, the next month or 2.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth thinking about why they're doing that.
And just the last 2 tiny points that Darren and I picked up on, they're nothing major, but just the small things. So they've added some tweaks to the auto resolve. So now you can have you can set your AI, if you choose to auto-resolve, to be more defensive or more aggressive, and a few different options just to add a slight balance to it. And they've also said they have made some big improvements to the auto-resolve to how it matches, how the armies would be placed, and the unit types you have and stuff like that. Because as I'm very well aware, sometimes you can press auto-resolve, as I've had a horrendous experience in Shogun 2 recently. But now if you press auto resolve, it is a bit more accurate, and you don't just get these. Oh no, I have a much better army that would obviously win, and for some reason just gets annihilated.
Yeah, I think she said like it looks at what units you have and matches and like sends them after each other as if an AI would towards you. So you shouldn't see like just because I won an elephants, I win the whole battle or something. Things like that. So it should be fixed. Or, a lot better anyway, which is quite good, because it could be tedious when you just have 2 small armies. You don't want to bother, but you lose anyway.
Yeah.
So that's about it for this week's Road to Rome. Do you have anything else, Toby? No?
I think that's it, to be honest with me. I think, there was a lot of good information there. It's not all necessarily massive, but I think it's some nice stuff.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get some more info creeping out about Rome this week, and we can talk about it next Friday or Saturday. If we don't, we'll just end up talking about what we know already in further detail. And be sure to subscribe and give us a like, and you can follow us on Facebook to find updates about when these next videos are coming out, facebook.com/collegegaming. And that's all from us, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.